thank you for being here today. I want to talk to you about something deeply personal yet universal: learning to love yourself first. In a world that often pressures us to meet others' expectations, to fit into molds, to please, perform, and perfect, we sometimes forget the most important relationship we will ever have, the one with ourselves. Loving yourself is not arrogance. It's not selfishness. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about respecting your own worth, honoring your needs, and giving yourself the same kindness you so freely give to others. When you truly love yourself, you stop looking for constant validation from the outside. You become less dependent on the approval of others and more in tune with your own voice, your own values, and your own truth. It's not always easy. Self-love is a practice. It means forgiving yourself, setting healthy boundaries, embracing your flaws, and celebrating your strengths. Remember this: you teach the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. So today, I encourage you to look in the mirror, not just to see your reflection, but to really recognize the person standing there, worthy, enough, beautiful, deserving of love. Because when you learn to love yourself first, you don't just change your life, you inspire others to do the same. 1. Self-love sets the standard. The way you treat yourself is the foundation upon which all other relationships in your life are built. If you constantly criticize yourself, neglect your own needs, or tolerate harmful behavior, consciously or unconsciously, you're sending a powerful message to the world about what you believe you deserve. Self-love acts like a blueprint. It determines the level of respect, care, and kindness you expect from others. When you value yourself, you begin to set boundaries that protect your peace and preserve your dignity. You stop settling for less than you need, less than you're worth, less than you truly desire. Many people wait for external validation to feel worthy. They chase approval from family, friends, romantic partners, or society, thinking, if they treat me well, then I must be worth something. But it actually works the other way around. When you treat yourself with love and respect first, others are more likely to mirror that behavior. This self-respect is reflected in your choices, who you allow into your life, how you respond to mistreatment, and even how you carry yourself. It shows up in small ways: the way you speak to yourself in your head, how you prioritize your needs, whether you give yourself time to rest, and how you handle failure or disappointment. Think of it like this: if you don't see your own value, it's easy for others to overlook it too. But when you walk through life with a quiet confidence that comes from inner acceptance, not arrogance but grounded self-worth, people notice, they sense it, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. You are always teaching others how to treat you. You do it not with your words, but with your actions, your limits, and your self-perception. When you love yourself, you demand better not through force, but through example. Let that love be the standard. Let it be the filter through which every relationship in your life must pass. 2. You can't pour from an empty cup. One of the most important truths in life is this: you cannot give your best to others if you are constantly running on empty. We live in a society that often glorifies self-sacrifice, hustle culture, and putting others first at all costs. While helping others and being generous are beautiful traits, they can become damaging when practiced at the expense of your own well-being. Loving yourself means recognizing your own needs, emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual, and honoring them as valid and necessary. It means understanding that your health, your peace of mind, and your energy are not inexhaustible resources. If you continue to give and give without taking time to refill your own cup, burnout becomes inevitable, resentment builds, patience wears thin. Even your ability to be present for the people you love begins to deteriorate. Think about it like this: when your cup is full, you give out of overflow, with joy, with energy, with love that replenishes itself. But when your cup is empty, giving becomes a burden, not a blessing. You begin to run on guilt, obligation, or autopilot, and that's not true giving, that's survival mode. Loving yourself first is not selfish, it's strategic. It allows you to build a foundation of stability and balance. It enables you to show up for others with authenticity, without losing pieces of yourself in the process. Whether you are a parent, partner, friend, or caregiver, your ability to serve others well depends on how well you are caring for yourself behind the scenes. Self-care doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be as simple as setting aside quiet time for reflection, getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, exercising, saying no when necessary, or giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. These are not luxuries. They are necessities, acts of self-respect that keep you whole. Many of us have been conditioned to think that we must earn rest, that we must always be available, that our worth is tied to how much we do for others. But the truth is, your worth is not measured by your productivity or your sacrifices. You matter even when you're not doing. And taking care of yourself is not neglecting others. It's preparing yourself to love and support them more fully. By loving yourself and prioritizing your well-being, you model to others what it looks like to live with integrity and balance. You teach your children, your friends, your community that it's okay to honor your own limits. You give them permission to do the same. 3. It builds confidence and inner peace. Learning to love yourself is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward building lasting confidence and a deep sense of inner peace. When you accept who you are, your strengths, your flaws, your quirks, your past, you begin to step out of the exhausting cycle of self-doubt, comparison, and criticism. You begin to feel comfortable in your own skin, not because you're perfect, but because you've made peace with being human. Confidence doesn't mean believing that you're better than others or that you'll never make mistakes. Real confidence is quiet. It's the calm, steady belief that you are enough as you are. It's waking up in the morning and not having to apologize to the world just for existing. It's trusting your own voice, your own values, and your ability to make decisions that are right for you, even when they don't please everyone else. When you love yourself, you stop being so easily shaken by external opinions or temporary setbacks. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth through achievements, appearances, or the approval of others. That doesn't mean you won't care about growth or feedback, but it does mean that your identity is no longer tethered to other people's acceptance. You become rooted in something more solid, your own self-awareness and self-trust. That trust in yourself is what gives you peace. You no longer live with a constant inner conflict. You stop beating yourself up for not being perfect or meeting impossible expectations. Instead, you start approaching yourself with kindness. You give yourself permission to evolve, to fail, to start again, and to do it all without shame. And that inner peace isn't just something you feel, it's something you carry. It changes the way you show up in the world. You become less reactive and more intentional. You're able to listen more, judge less, and connect more authentically with others because you're no longer projecting your insecurities outward. You're not trying to be someone you're not. Loving yourself also helps you discover your authentic voice, the one that may have been buried beneath layers of self-doubt, people, pleasing, or fear. As you reconnect with that voice, your confidence begins to grow from within. It's no longer based on external achievements or praise, but on a quiet certainty that you are inherently valuable. You don't have to chase peace when you already carry it inside of you, and that's exactly what self-love makes possible. It gives you a safe place within yourself, a home where you are always welcome, always accepted, always enough. 4. Self-love is a daily practice. Self-love isn't a one-time realization or a quick fix solution. It's a daily practice, a lifelong journey that evolves as you do. It's not about reaching some final destination where you're suddenly free from insecurity or struggle. Instead, it's about choosing over and over again to treat yourself with compassion, patience, and respect, especially on the days when it feels the hardest. Much like physical health requires regular exercise and good nutrition, emotional and mental well-being require consistent acts of self-love. This means being mindful of your self-talk, listening to your emotional needs, checking in with yourself regularly, and doing the little things that nurture your inner life. It's not always grand or glamorous. Sometimes it's as simple as giving yourself 5 minutes of silence in a busy day, saying no to something that drains you, or forgiving yourself for not being as productive as you hoped. The truth is, we live in a world that constantly tries to pull us away from ourselves. Social media, advertising, even certain cultural expectations, all these forces can feed us the message that we're not enough, that we need to do more, look better, or be someone else to be worthy. This makes it even more crucial to ground ourselves in daily rituals that affirm our worth, just as we are. A daily self-love practice can take many forms: journaling your thoughts, speaking affirmations into the mirror, taking care of your body, setting healthy boundaries, or reflecting on your goals and values. Some days it might mean pushing yourself to grow and face uncomfortable truths. Other days it may look like allowing yourself to rest and simply be without guilt or shame. The beauty of making self-love a daily habit is that it creates consistency and stability in a world full of chaos. It teaches your mind and heart that you are someone worth showing up for, not just when things are going well, but especially when they're not. It helps you develop emotional resilience because you're not relying on external situations to define your worth. Over time, this consistent practice rewires how you see yourself. The negative voice in your head begins to soften. Your inner critic no longer has the same power over you. You start to see yourself not as a problem to fix, but as a person to care for, honor, and uplift. And like any meaningful habit, self-love grows stronger the more you engage with it. You begin to notice how you speak to yourself, how you respond to challenges, and how you treat your own heart. With time and effort, the small, intentional acts of daily self-love begin to compound into something powerful, a deep, unwavering foundation of self-worth that no external force can take away. 5. Forgiveness is key. One of the most profound acts of self-love is forgiveness. Forgiveness of the mistakes you've made, the opportunities you missed, the people you hurt, and the times you didn't know any better. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past. It's about releasing the weight of guilt and shame that keeps you trapped in it. It's choosing to stop punishing yourself for being imperfect and allowing yourself the freedom to grow. Many people struggle to love themselves because they are still carrying the burden of past regrets. They replay painful memories, second-guess decisions, and hold on to self-judgment like it's a form of penance. But the truth is, you cannot heal while holding yourself hostage to who you used to be. You must be willing to let go of the version of yourself who didn't have the tools, the wisdom, or the strength that you have now. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you're denying responsibility. It means you're taking ownership of your journey with grace. You're acknowledging that you are a complex, evolving human being who makes mistakes, and that those mistakes do not define your worth. In fact, they often become the very things that teach you, humble you, and help you grow into a better version of yourself. Self-forgiveness requires compassion. It means speaking to yourself with the same gentleness you would offer to a friend. Would you endlessly shame someone you love for a moment of weakness, or would you encourage them to learn and move forward? That same energy must be directed inward, because until you forgive yourself, true self-love remains incomplete. You cannot love someone you still blame, and it's not just the big moments that require forgiveness. It's also the small ones, the days you didn't show up for yourself, the times you stayed silent when you needed to speak, the moments you ignored your intuition. Each of these carries an emotional weight, and unless released, they slowly chip away at your self-esteem. Forgiveness is also key to emotional freedom. Carrying guilt and shame creates a kind of emotional prison. It keeps you stuck in cycles of self-sabotage, low self-worth, and fear of repeating the past. But when you choose forgiveness, you reclaim your power. You stop allowing your past to define your future. You give yourself the permission to move forward, not with denial, but with renewed intention and understanding. In loving yourself, you acknowledge that growth is messy. There will be relapses, missteps, and hard lessons. But every stumble is an opportunity to extend grace to yourself, to say, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time, and now I know better. This mindset doesn't just soften your relationship with yourself, it also deepens it. It builds a foundation of trust where you no longer fear failure because you've proven that you will not abandon yourself even in your lowest moments. Ultimately, forgiveness is not just something you do once. It's something you practice regularly. Each time you choose to be patient with your own healing, to acknowledge your humanity, and to see yourself through the lens of compassion, you reinforce the belief that you are worthy of love, just as you are, even as you continue to grow. 6. Comparison is a thief of joy, one of the most damaging habits to our self-love and overall well-being is the tendency to compare ourselves to others. In a world saturated with curated social media posts, filtered perfection, and constant exposure to other people's lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you're falling behind, that you're not doing enough, or that you're somehow less worthy because someone else appears to have more success, more beauty, more happiness. But the truth is, comparison distorts your reality. It robs you of joy by shifting your focus away from your own journey and placing it onto someone else's. Instead of appreciating how far you've come, you begin measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel, often without knowing their full story, their struggles, or their sacrifices. This creates a cycle of inadequacy that makes it nearly impossible to recognize and celebrate your own growth. Self-love requires you to break that cycle. It asks you to step back from the urge to compete and instead turn inward. Your life is not meant to look like anyone else's. Your path, your pace, and your purpose are uniquely yours. Just because someone else reaches a goal before you or appears more confident doesn't mean you're failing. Life is not a race, it's a personal journey of growth, healing, and discovery. When you constantly compare, you forget your own value, you downplay your progress, ignore your strengths, and silence your own voice. You may even start making choices that are not aligned with your true self, just to try to keep up or fit in, but this leads to emptiness because you're no longer living for your own truth. You're living in reaction to someone else's image. Learning to love yourself means shifting the focus back to what's real, your own inner compass. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have what they have?" ask, "What do I need to feel fulfilled, whole, and at peace?" Instead of judging yourself for not being where someone else is, remind yourself that life unfolds differently for everyone. Seasons of growth look different for each person, and what's meant for you will not pass you by. When you stop comparing, you create space for gratitude. You begin to see the beauty in your own journey, even if it's messy or slow. You become more patient with your process, more grounded in your truth, and more able to celebrate others without diminishing yourself. You realize that someone else's success does not take away from your potential. Someone else's light doesn't dim your shine. It simply illuminates what's possible. Instead of using others as a measuring stick, use them as mirrors. If you see something in someone else that you admire, let it inspire you, not make you feel small. Learn to appreciate others without erasing yourself in the process, and most importantly, remember that your worth is not up for comparison. It's not negotiable, not dependent on outside metrics, and certainly not determined by anyone else's path. The more you detach from comparison, the more room you create for clarity, joy, and authentic self-love. You begin to understand that you are not here to be a copy of someone else. You are here to be the most complete, honest version of you. 7. You attract what you believe you deserve. At the heart of self-love lies one powerful truth. The energy you carry inwardly shapes the reality you experience outwardly. The beliefs you hold about yourself, what you're worth, what you deserve, what you're capable of directly influence the people you attract, the opportunities you pursue, and the boundaries you set in your life. If deep down you believe you're not good enough, not lovable, or not worthy of happiness, then without even realizing it, you may begin to settle for relationships that mirror those beliefs. You may tolerate disrespect, accept less than you need, or chase validation from others who are unable or unwilling to give it. These patterns are not a reflection of what you actually deserve. They are reflections of what you believe you deserve. When you begin to love yourself, everything starts to shift. You raise your standards, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. You stop chasing people who make you feel small and start surrounding yourself with those who uplift, appreciate, and value you. You no longer wait for someone else to choose you. You choose yourself, and in doing so, you signal to the world that you are not available for anything less than what aligns with your truth. This shift doesn't just affect your relationships, it ripples into every area of your life. You stop playing small in your career or your passions because you no longer believe you have to earn your worth through perfection or people pleasing. You begin to go after what you want with confidence, not because success is guaranteed, but because you finally understand that you are worthy of the attempt. You become less afraid of rejection, failure, or judgment because those things no longer define who you are at your core. Belief is incredibly powerful. What you believe you deserve creates a kind of filter through which you interpret every experience. If you believe you deserve love, respect, and joy, you will begin to naturally move toward the people and situations that offer those things, and just as importantly, away from those that don't. You'll stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, and you'll learn to walk away from spaces that make you question your value. But believing you deserve better doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It means you finally understand that your needs, your feelings, and your dreams are valid. You realize that taking up space isn't selfish, it's necessary. You become the kind of person who treats themselves with kindness and expects that same energy in return, not as a demand, but as a reflection of the way you already show up for yourself. This belief doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to unlearn the stories you've been told or told yourself about what you're worth. But the more you practice self-love, the more your internal world begins to align with the truth. You are worthy of good things simply because you exist. And when you carry that belief sincerely and consistently, it begins to shape your choices. You choose peace over chaos. You choose connection over approval. You choose to build a life that reflects who you are, not who the world told you to be. Little by little, you stop settling and start rising. You no longer chase love, you attract it by embodying it first for yourself.